It didn't start with a breakup announcement. It started with small things people brushed off: a missing wedding ring, a sudden glow up, a career spark that looked intentional. For years, Amy Schumer and Chris Fischer were seen as one of Hollywood's most grounded couples. No chaos, no scandals, just quiet stability. So when the split was finally confirmed, fans were stunned. But insiders say this wasn't a shock at all. It was a slow unraveling that had been building for years. And the real reason behind it? It wasn't one fight. It wasn't one rumor. It was a choice, one that changed everything. Everything traces back to one explosive moment in 2015. Trainwreck didn't just succeed, it rewrote Amy Schumer's career overnight. Suddenly, she wasn't just a comedian anymore. She was Hollywood's next big thing. Studios lined up, scripts flooded in, offers came fast, loud, and relentless. Insiders say this was the moment Amy believed her future was set in stone. But here's the twist most people forget. Reports claim that at the peak of that success, Amy started saying no. No to roles everyone expected her to take. No to projects that could have locked her into the A-list for a decade. At the time, it looked like confidence, like control. But behind the scenes, sources say expectations were crushing. And the pressure to repeat Trainwreck was already creeping in. Hollywood moves fast, and when you hesitate, it doesn't wait. That single moment of being on fire created a version of success Amy would spend years chasing again. And as the industry quietly moved on, that unfinished chapter stayed with her, shaping every decision that followed. And that lingering feeling, it didn't just affect her career, it followed her home. Then came the moment that reshaped her entire world. In 2019, Amy welcomed her son, Gene, and according to people close to her, everything else immediately took a back seat. The non-stop grind slowed, auditions paused, big career pushes were put on hold. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Motherhood became the priority. Insiders say she didn't go full throttle the way she once did. The late nights, the relentless chasing, the pressure to stay everywhere at once, she stepped away from it. And for a while, that choice felt right, necessary, grounding. But Hollywood doesn't pause when you do. As time passed, sources claim Amy started feeling the gap between where she was and where she thought she'd be by now. The momentum she once had was gone. The offers weren't the same. And that quiet realization that stepping back had cost her more than she expected slowly settled in. And as she tried to balance being a present mother while wrestling with unfinished career dreams, something else began slipping through the cracks. While the spotlight stayed off their relationship, the cracks were already forming. From the outside, Amy and Chris looked steady, private, unbothered by Hollywood chaos. But insiders now say the reality was far more complicated. As Amy's focus shifted between motherhood and unfinished career goals, there simply wasn't much left to pour into the marriage. Reports suggest it wasn't about betrayal or explosive fights. It was an absence, missed moments, two people slowly living in different headspaces. Sources claim Amy knew what kind of life she wanted to chase next, and maintaining the marriage wasn't getting the attention it needed to survive. That's why people close to them say the split didn't come out of nowhere. It was a long time coming, not painful in one dramatic moment, but heavy over time, and emotionally confusing. Insiders describe Amy as both relieved and heartbroken at the same time, because realizing something isn't working doesn't make letting it go any easier. And once that truth fully settled in, the direction of her life became impossible to ignore. That's when Amy made a quiet but decisive shift. Nearly 10 years after Trainwreck changed everything, sources say she started asking herself a dangerous question. What if that was supposed to happen twice? Insiders claim she's been itching to reclaim the version of her career she always believed was waiting for her. Big films, major visibility, and another defining moment. Reports suggest she's now actively positioning herself for a serious comeback, with 2026 circled as a reset year. New projects, more involvement, more control, and yes, more ambition. The same ambition she once paused is now back in full force. But here's the reality insiders say she finally accepted.
You can't have everything. With career goals reignited and motherhood already demanding everything it does, something had to give. And according to people close to her, Amy chose the life she felt she was meant to chase, even knowing the cost. And once that decision was made, the rest started falling into place. Fast. That's when the internet started connecting dots of its own. Fans noticed the wait.
Loss first. Dramatic, sudden, impossible to miss. Then came the photos. No wedding ring, new energy, a different confidence. Almost immediately, online speculation exploded, with people rushing to explain a story they didn't actually know. Rumors spiraled fast. Some fans claimed the physical transformation had to mean something deeper. Others dragged Chris into it, pulling his autism diagnosis into the conversation. And that's when Amy stepped in. In a now deleted video, she shut it down completely. She made it clear that whatever was happening between her and Chris had nothing to do with weight loss, nothing to do with autism. The internet had it wrong. Again. But even while denying the rumors, she didn't deny the tension. Because by that point, the signs weren't accidental anymore. The changes were real. The distance was real. And the breakup everyone was guessing about was already happening behind the scenes. And soon, there would be no need to speculate at all. Then the confirmation finally arrived. Simple, blunt, and impossible to misread. In an Instagram post that felt almost intentionally casual, Amy announced that she and Chris had made the difficult decision to end their marriage after 7 years. No dramatic explanations, no public blame, just a straightforward truth. They still loved each other, and their focus would remain on raising their son together. Insiders say that tone wasn't accidental. It reflected exactly where she was emotionally, calm, honest, and already looking forward. Friends describe her as emotionally split down the middle, sad about what ended, but quietly relieved it was finally acknowledged. Behind the scenes, sources claim Amy is now focused on rebuilding her life piece by piece. Career first, stability next, and co-parenting done with intention, not resentment. Because sometimes the hardest endings aren't explosive, they're the ones you accept after fighting them for years. This wasn't a messy breakup or a Hollywood scandal, it was a reckoning. Amy Schumer didn't lose her marriage overnight. She slowly outgrew the life she was living. Between motherhood, unfinished ambition, and the weight of expectations she never stopped carrying, a choice had to be made. And she made it knowing it would cost her something real. Now she's standing at the edge of a new chapter, chasing the career she believes still has another peak, co-parenting a child she deeply loves, and learning, in real time, that every version of success demands a sacrifice. So here's the question fans can't stop asking. When you finally choose yourself, what are you willing to leave behind?